Some would say that slavery was abolished 148 years ago, in 1865. And yet, to this day, there are about 45.8 million people globally who suffer every day from the sickening beliefs that someone can be held in captivity for another's profit. Children earn money for their families by making bricks in the Middle East. Sweatshops for major companies force their laborers to work in horrible conditions for little pay. Even in the US, human trafficking still occurs today. This is the story of a modern slave. A child small in stature but still possessing a strength and bravery that inspired millions. A child that had every right to give up hope, but instead embodied the very meaning of taking a stand. In 1983, a boy was born to one of the few poor Catholic minority families in the dry, dusty city of Mudrik, Pakistan. At only 4 years old, this small boy was sold to a carpet factory by his mother, after being abandoned by his father, to work in harsh conditions where he will be beaten, starved, and crippled to pay off a loan, the equivalent of $12 that was used to pay for his oldest brother's wedding. That boy was Iqbal Masih. The carpet factory that Iqbal worked in never intended to free him. They unfairly added to Iqbal's debt for every time he made a mistake, ate food, or even looked away from his work until he had no chance at freedom by paying back his father's debt. The child became a bonded laborer, a common form of modern slavery in Pakistan and many other countries. According to the Oxford Dictionary, bonded labor is a practice in which employers give high-interest loans to workers, whose family then has to work at low wages to pay off the debt. Iqbal worked alongside many children, all forced to crouch down in dusty, enclosed workrooms and weave the carpets that made up Pakistan's income. These children were given the least possible amount of food so that, in result, their growth would be stunted and they would work longer. If they made a mistake, sometimes they were hung upside down and beaten with the tool they were working with. They were told that if they were to try to escape, they would be dipped in hot oil. Most of these child slaves were given no education, no freedom, and no hope for a better future. All except for Iqbal. One day, the now 10-year-old Iqbal heard about a rally organized by the Bonded Labor Liberation Front of Pakistan. He and some of his friends ran away from the factory that they were working at for the second time, despite threats from the carpet factory owners to attend the rally. Once there, Iqbal was called up to speak in front of everyone at the rally about his experiences as a bonded laborer in the carpet factory that held him, not knowing that he was going to be saved, and for the first, but definitely not last time, Iqbal risked life and limb for the children that he had left behind in the factory, so they too could have a chance. The organization told him about his rights and that it is illegal in Pakistan to keep bonded laborers. According to the laws in Pakistan regarding bonded labor, Clause 12 states that the punishment for extracting bonded labor under the bonded labor system is that whoever enforces after the commencement of this act any custom, tradition, practice, contract, agreement, or other instrument, by virtue of which any person or any member of his family is required to render any service under the bonded labor system, shall be punishable with imprisonment. Even though these laws were present, they were almost never enforced due to the power and influence that large businesses had in the country. The first time that Iqbal had ran away from the factory, he went to the local police for help, but was sent by the law enforcement back to those who had been breaking the law in the first place. After this, Iqbal wanted to get an education and completed 4 years of schooling in only 2 years. He wanted to become a lawyer so that he could help other bonded children get their freedom. He also became an important activist for the Bonded Labor Liberation Front and made many speeches, the most famous being the We Are Free speech that he made at the Reebok Youth in Action Awards in December 1994 when he was around 12 years old. While he was campaigning against bonded labor, Iqbal traveled to many countries to speak about his experiences in the carpet factory and to raise awareness about the many children still in slavery. In 1994, he came to America and visited Broadmeadows Middle School in Quincy, Massachusetts for a day. His visit to the 7th graders there was life-changing. In an interview with New Moon, Amanda Luce said, "He was 12 and I was 13, and he was so small that he only came up to my shoulder. His body was also hunched over from working over a loom for so many years." After talking to the students and telling them about his life and experiences, Iqbal asked them to spread awareness about bonded labor and to tell people to stop buying rugs that were made by child laborers. Many of the children were in awe by his bravery and thought of him as someone to look up to. When they asked him why he was going to go back to Pakistan even though it was dangerous, he said that he was going back to help all the children left behind in the carpet factories. In spite of the amazing effects he could have had on our world and his many goals for the future, on Sunday, April 16, 1995, at a little under 13 years old, Iqbal was killed. He and two of his cousins were riding their bicycles home after Easter Sunday Mass when they supposedly came across Muhammad Hero Ashraf in relations with a donkey. Upon seeing the boys, he turned to Iqbal with a 12-bore gun. Iqbal suffered 120 pellet wounds to his back and legs and was killed immediately. Iqbal, being at this time a well-known child activist, had already in his lifetime freed around 3,000 children and had lost Pakistan's carpet industry $37 million in just under 1 year from bringing awareness in foreign countries and asking them to stop buying carpets that were, as he would say, made by children's blood. His controversial death led to protests around the world. Many people, especially the BLLF activists, believe that the police report was formed to cover up an assassination by the carpet mafia. One of the main reasons that people think this is because the killer only shot Iqbal and not the other two boys with him. Ishan Ullah Khan, Bonded Labor Liberation Front leader, said, "We know his death was a conspiracy by the carpet mafia." Even before his murder, Iqbal had received multiple death threats from these people. When asked about Iqbal, Khan said, "He was so brave, you can't imagine." After the middle school students at Broadmeadows heard about Iqbal's shooting, they became angry. With this inspiration, they started calling companies around their community, asking them if they were selling goods made by bonded laborers. They held bake sales, car washes, lemonade stands, and other fundraisers to collect money for their cause. As word spread about these middle schoolers' plan, people started to send in donations. In the end, they had collected over $140,000. They now had enough money to build a school for bonded children in Pakistan so that, like Iqbal dreamed, those children could get an education. After their plan was accepted by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, they still didn't stop. They went around the country to make speeches to spread the word about child labor. They even spoke in Congress and, like Iqbal, won the Reebok Youth in Action Award for their success in making Iqbal's dream come true. At the ceremony, Amanda Luce said, "We realize building one school will not end child bonded labor, but building this school builds hope." She ended her speech with this message to Iqbal: "Dear friend, rest in peace. We haven't forgotten you." Congressman Jerry E. Studs of Massachusetts was so inspired by their strive to make a difference that he put their story into the U.S. congressional record. But slavery is still a major issue today. According to the Social Studies Review, statistics show that nearly 246 million children between the ages of 5 and 17 are forced to work. This number would make up of 80% of the population of the U.S. The inspirational story of Iqbal and everything that he has done for human rights around the world is only the beginning, a small part of what needs to be done to stop slavery for good. It is our job to continue his story. "His visit made us realize how lucky we are to live in a country like America," said Amanda. "To be free, to have an education, and to have laws to protect us. We have all Iqbal ever dreamed of."